Howdy, Embers. My name is Heron,
And I'm Gygus.
and welcome back to The Corner. This week's episode of Campfire Embers is brought to you by nothing. We're not sponsored. We don't have the available, people to do that yet.
Nope. We're sponsored by ourselves.
Yes, we're sponsored by hat.
Your hat.
My hat. I'm wearing a hat. I normally wear a hat when we do these things.
So, yeah, today's topic is nothing.
Yeah, we, as we promised in our last podcast video, today is completely unscripted except for a starting topic. That starting topic being, Gygus, what is your favorite anime opening?
I don't really have a specific one, but I've decided that it was going to be the first opening of Attack on Titan because I just like the music and I like the whole animation of it.
Nice. You give me like a sports pitch. This is really, really cool.
I don't know. You started off very enthusiastic, and I just fed with that.
Hey man, I go with it. Excuse me.
For once, we had a somewhat normal intro.
Yeah, and it was just high energy, and it's there to stay. I should probably answer the question before we get on other tangents. My favorite anime opening is no shocker. It's from my favorite anime of all time, Code Geass: Illusion of the Rebellion. It's the first opening. It's called Colors. I highly recommend everybody listen to it. It's a fantastic opening. And it's just gorgeous animation-wise. It sets the tone for the series in a very, very interesting way. And I just like the musical composition of it.
All right. So just take a deep breath. Just in and out. We need to talk slower. All right. You're talking very fast right now.
No. Okay. What was I going? I was going to say a thing. I am proud to announce I have restarted Tears of the Kingdom.
Finally.
Sorry, water is necessary for these things. Yeah, I decided that after I finished up playing Xenoblade 3, I needed a game to kind of preset that whole thing. So I played Mario 64 again because when I don't know what to play but I want to play a game, that's the game that I go to. There's a reason that game is my favorite of all time, and we go into so many we have so many explanations to why that game is my favorite that there is no definitive reason why it's my favorite. Just accept the fact that it's my favorite. How many times can I say favorite in the same sentence?
Yeah. So just getting onto a general topic here is
You interrupted me.
I'm sorry. For everyone that's been with us for a while, hello, welcome back. It's been a little bit because we've been on Thanksgiving break.
It's been a little bit for us. You haven't missed a single day of our content, hopefully.
Yes. For all those new people, hi. Welcome to the corner.
This is a thing. This is the first thing we're doing in this recording session because we record all of our content for 2 weeks in a day.
Yes, that's very true.
And
we will eventually get better on the streaming side, but right now we're just trying to be consistent on YouTube.
Exactly. So, hey, here's a really, really cool thing. At some point on Sunday, usually sometime after noon,
yeah,
Mountain Standard Time,
we shoot for noon, and it doesn't end up recording until 1 or 2 o'clock because we just talk about stuff.
or in the case of today, 2:50, which I think is the latest we've actually ever recorded something.
Yeah.
Or at least started to do the
This is what happens when we don't have a set topic in mind.
Exactly.
So.
Okay. I need to finish this. I started playing Tears of the Kingdom again, and I decided to play it the exact same way I played Breath of the Wild for the first time. Whereas I wanted to just explore. Because there is so much in that game. It's triple the size of Breath of the Wild map data wise. So all I wanted to do was just kind of play, and that's exactly what I did. I got all the beginning area stuff in Pura's main citadel and stuff like that at the center of the map for the surface. Which actually that's a really, really cool thing. When I was playing Skyward Sword, they refer to the ground area as the surface, which I thought was which was really interesting because largely that game takes place in the sky because of what happened.
Yeah. Speaking of Zelda, you want to tell them? Oh, hello.
That's not a thing. That is spam.
Ah, okay. Well, regardless, you wanna tell the viewers what I got you for Christmas early?
I got a sword.
I got him a sword.
And it's a sword that came with other things. it came with a hook and a scabbard and a wooden plated shield.
Yeah, so what I got him was a prop sword, like a full-on metal sword of the Master Sword from Skyward Sword.
Exactly. The interesting thing that I like about this sword is, or at least this model, is the fact that the steel that they used is blue.
Yeah,
Which
so
is
it kind of
interesting.
makes it look like it's glowing in a sense, like that typical like Master Sword blue glow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of like I guess the outline is blue in other games and stuff like that too. So it's cool, and I like the idea of it because it's unique. And it's not just like your standard normal steel that you would see in like Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword or things like that. So it's unique. I like it. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and I got the Wii U version of Wind Waker.
Waker.
My brain just didn't want to think right there.
Also commonly known as Wind Waker HD because
Yes.
there's only 2 versions of it.
I'm still yet to play it. I gotta find my AC adapter for my gamepad.
So interesting thing about gamepads, after you have them for a while, their batteries kind of just stop working normally.
Well, that's with anything.
I know, but it's especially apparent in the gamepads because I physically can't use my gamepad anymore unless I have it directly plugged into the AC adapter. It just dies instantly.
Yeah. Did you hear that there's rumors about there being like a Switch 2.0?
Yes, I have, and I don't know how they could improve on it. Like the only thing that I can physically think of there being an improvement on would just be the lifespan of the Joy-Cons.
Well, what I think they might do is better processing and graphics, because that's been a huge thing, like just in general, like people complaining about the Switch is compared to like Xbox and PlayStation, like in terms of graphic and processing power, it underperforms. So if I think they're going to pretty much remaster it to be on par with Xbox and PlayStation in terms of processing and graphics wise.
Yeah, but I think the issue with that though is you have to the whole reason, like my theory why like PlayStation and Xbox games and like PC games and all those stuff, why they have such good graphics is because they have a bigger processing engine than any of the Nintendo consoles do because of the short compact thing that the Switch is. So it kind of defeats the entire purpose of being able to take the Switch with you wherever you go.
Not necessarily.
Because the only way to fix that is to make the Switch bigger, which I mean,
Well, technology is always improving and stuff like that. Like you think like even smartphones now, like the amount of processing power that it can like perform and stuff like that. Like you can very easily see something like that happening in a Switch. That would be like a next generation thing, like something that nobody's ever done and what Nintendo is known for.
The cool thing too is Nintendo's always been like really in the face of like media with stuff like this. Is they don't really care about graphics, and it's because their focus is on gameplay. The problem is, and it's the same problem that like Sony and Microsoft with Xbox and PlayStation, they run into the same issue, except on the other end, where they care too much about graphics and the gameplay can usually suffers because of it. The thing that all of these companies don't realize is you can have both.
I think it's just time constrained that's that problem, because you can make a really great game that's both graphically like really good and also gameplay wise. However,
i.e. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
However, that's going to take like 10, 15 years to make.
Exactly, which is, I mean, they do have time crunches and things like that that the higher ups push on them to not necessarily to like emphasize and making it like a hard work environment. I'm talking largely just out of nowhere because I've never been in a developer studio or anything like that. So I assume this is how it goes. It's exactly like you said. There's a set time limit for each bigger games and for smaller games. Like I guarantee there wasn't as big of a there wasn't as big of a team on say like Metroid Dread versus Mario Wonder.
Well, another thing that I'm thinking of, because I do know a little bit about like game design and stuff like that. Sorry. Uh, the thing about time, in a sense, is what I said earlier. Like technology is always improving, and it's always getting better. So if you spend 5-10 years on a game, you got to think about graphics and even gameplay at that point to make sure that it's on par of what's coming out at that point, because like what may be relevant right now in terms of graphics could be completely different several years down the line. And so like if you're working on a project for a long time with this set design, you may need to redo the graphics to meet with the current standards of day-to-day life and what games are out right now.
Exactly. And I mean, all this stuff to say, it's there can be both. So relating the topic at hand to the original question, what do I think about the possibility of an upgraded Switch? I think Nintendo has reached the point where they don't have to be unique with their titles anymore for their consoles. You know what I mean? Because like the PlayStation and the Xbox have been their thing since they released.
Yeah.
Whereas Nintendo has gone through like the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo 64, the Nintendo GameCube, the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo Wii U, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but I think that's also what makes them stand out as well.
Exactly.
Because it kind of gets boring, like putting just another number on a console.
There was I mean there have been multiple like I guess extra there have been extra titles that like fans have depicted. Like for example, the Switch was known as the NX before we knew it as the Switch. And before they announced it as the Switch is what we had. There was the I forget what it was, but for the Wii it was like the Nintendo like Motion or something like that. And I guarantee I'm butchering that, but regardless to say, there's been other names, and if they honestly wanted, and the thing is, these names have been good too. Like I would 100% get something called like the NX because that just sounds really freaking cool. Or like getting or like a game console called like the Nexus, or like or taking a page out of Nickelodeon and because the funny thing is they did this for a not a cartoon but a sitcom on Nickelodeon called Drake and Josh. They wanted to avoid copyright, obviously, so when the GameCube was a thing, they had the game Sphere. It's spherical. And stuff like that too. So I mean, I'm not saying that they can't be original with their console names. I'm just saying I think they've reached the point where they don't have to be anymore.
Yeah, I mean they definitely can. Like Nintendo's really grown in popularity. I mean, ever since like the first one came out, like it was lesser known, but like a lot of people started liking it. But like with every newer console generation and the capabilities of them being able to stay on par, if not even outperforming consoles, is like really made them their own unique thing. Because like Nintendo has gotten to a point where they have so many of their own unique games that it's its own thing. Like they don't have to rely on platforms like Steam and things like that, which I mean, like granted there is some like smaller indie games that are on the Switch, but like most of it is their own stuff.
Exactly.
And not a bunch of different game development studios.
And the thing is too, like Switch porting is such a like a very like big thing, you know what I mean? For example, Sega is largely owned by Microsoft and in those aspects, but because the series is so popular, that's why games like Sonic Frontiers can port over to the Switch. And games like Mortal Kombat can also have Switch releases, in Skyrim and stuff like that as well. So I mean, you can still play these like bigger high-end games that and not saying that like Nintendo doesn't have high-end games, because it does. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are they're masterpieces for games. and stuff like that too. Like Mario Wonder has been a great example of that. Just like a finite concept, just exploring the parameters of that finite concept, and that's like that little motion right there, exploring how far you can take a finite concept, is how Nintendo strikes gold. They've been doing it since the original Mario Bros. Was a thing. And they've been using set details that people like about the series and moving them forward. Why do you think the Fire Flower has been in every single Mario game since it originally released?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it like having little icons like that are what make Nintendo stand out. So all in all, I guess I'm just excited to see what they do, because the Wii U was such a fail, and then they royally just thunderstruck it out of the ring with the Switch, and they did the most genius thing I've ever seen a company do, where they re-released all of the games that were popular on the Wii U with all of their DLC built into them.
Yeah.
Like, that was the smartest marketing move I have ever seen a company do. And I'm so happy about it.
Because it essentially saved their company as well.
Exactly. Like, all of the assets and all of the time they spent programming all of that stuff wasn't wasted. They found a way to use a majority of it.
Yeah.
And they gained profit from it. Like, for example, Hyrule Warriors wasn't a very, very big game for Nintendo. It was largely something different that they wanted to do, because it was in the style of Dynasty Warriors. That was the whole point of it. And they wanted something different, inspired by Zelda. And this isn't the first time they did this. They did this again with Cadence of Hyrule, with it being a Zelda spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, and stuff like that too. So it's not the first time they've used the series to outsource and make another game based around it.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I like them experimenting that way, because it allows for crossovers and different. You get to see a really, really cool game idea brought to you in a familiar lens via like Zelda or Mario or stuff like that, which works great, because then it allows them to expand upon those ideas and work with those companies to create better games overall. Mm-hmm. So Nintendo is cool. And this is why I'm such a big Nintendo fan, and why I've been this way my entire life, is because I'm always excited to see what they do next.
Yeah. And
I mean, this year has been extremely big because of that. Like, we've gotten Tears of the Kingdom, we've gotten Pikmin 4, and we've gotten Super Mario Bros. Wonder. All, like, three very, very big titles that people, like, they blew out of the park.
Yeah.
I expected you to have something to say.
No, my mind kind of went blank at the end of that for no reason at all. I think I was just more like just listening to you than like thinking of something to say.
Your synapse misfire there?
Yeah.
That's what I like calling that.
Anyway, I guess on a different topic, how was your break?
Yeah, Thanksgiving is a thing that happened, and it was it was a thing. It was my family split up around October of my senior year of high school, and since then it's I've been kind of like ping-ponging between my mom and my dad, and my mom moved a good while away, and my sister moved even further but closer to my mom. So in the place in the state I live in, it's I have to go across all of it to visit all of my family, which is why I limit how many times I make this trip. But the cool thing was, this was the first time that I did it for a holiday. Besides like when you and me went to go visit my sister for Halloween, which was still one of the most like one of the best vacations I think I've ever had. But this takes the cake for the most entertaining holiday I've ever been a part of, because Thanksgiving was, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can go into detail about, just because it's a lot of personal stuff. Needless to say, I learned my drinking parameters.
And you were sending me a lot of photos.
Yes, I
different drinks.
I learned how to make things. Full disclaimer, this was not illegal, because even though I am underage, I was drinking with my mother, which is legal.
That has to be something we have to clarify.
Yep, it is. So that's a thing. I I am underage to be drinking alone, which is why I don't do it. I only drink when my mother or father is near me. So do not worry about me. But that all out of the way, I like making drinks. And it's something that I've really just I just like the art form of it. I like the complex flavors that go into it. I like all the different glasswares. I like the different compositions of ice and all those things that go into it. So I don't really view it as something like to get addicted to, because like even though I do like alcohol, I'm not addicted to it. I like it as an art form. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very interesting way to express yourself. And the coolest thing about alcohol, and I just want to say this right now, don't drink until you're 21, and then drink responsibly. Now that we have that out of the way, or at least 21 in the U.S., just pay attention to your place's legal drinking age, and then go from there. Sorry, I have to get all this out of the way because I have to tell the story correctly. Needless to say, I like making drinks, and I've become kind of my family's unofficial bartender because I make them decently well. So I decided to experiment with a Manhattan, and I tried to make a different version of a Manhattan that was kind of inspired by Thanksgiving. Because my mother wanted a drink that was based around like cranberries because, Thanksgiving. So I thought, hey, how about I make a Manhattan, but with cranberry juice? And that's what it turned into. And it was very, very delicious. I was very impressed with myself.
Yeah, I don't know anything about mixed drinks and stuff.
Yep.
The only times I've had a mixed drink was when you made it at your mother's house. So
exactly. So it's like these are things that like are just like they're things that are things.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that I want to get into, and I want to like become a pro at it because it's something I'm very passionate about, and it's a different form to express things. Anyways, the whole purpose I said this is because alcohol is a very interesting thing. Largely what it does is, there's a lot of science that goes into how alcohol affects the brain, but the biggest thing that a lot of people don't realize about alcohol is after you get past the tipsy stage, all it does is remove your filter. And you become authentic, honest, and whatever your dominant emotion is what becomes apparent. So, for example, you get people who are very, very tired. You get people who are angry. You get people that are really funny. You get people that are really lovey-dovey. You get people that are really happy at about this stage in drinking. And you take it a step further than that. That's when you start getting like into the danger zone.
Yeah.
So like that's what I want it to be known as. So it's So yeah, I do not drink on a regular basis. It's a very, very, very once, not even a blue moon, like maybe once a year thing that I do. And I don't even take it far at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm responsible with that.
And the only reason why we can say this stuff is because we are not a children's channel. If you're a child and you're watching this, watch at your own risk, please. Like, you shouldn't be here.
Like I'm happy that you're enjoying our content, but
this is more for a more mature audience.
This specific topic.
Our entire channel period. Like
exactly.
Yes, we have like games and stuff like that, but like the stuff that we talk about isn't going to be filtered to cater for kids.
No, we don't cater. We do not have a cater setting for anything, for any of our content, because we want it to be a fresh, authentic experience for anybody to
enjoy.
To enjoy. So that's why we cuss every now and then. That's why we talk about mature topics like drinking and things like that as well. So legal disclaimer: be responsible. Dang it.
Yes.
Be a smart child, and if you don't understand what we're talking about, click away.
Yes, please.
And come back when you're older. Anyway, that tangent aside, so drinks are cool, and I like making them. So that's largely what happened. With there. As far as without getting into personal details, I got to experience my first pro sports game, and it was really freaking cool. So I am from the I'm from the state of Colorado, and I'm saying this because sports are such a big thing that I'm going to reference the Avalanche, because I've been a huge Avalanche fan for years.
And that's not really like a huge thing that like gives like
sports
that somebody can track us down with. It's
sports
more
are interesting. Like it's like
because you can be from different states and also have like just one. Because like I live in a different state, but like I still have my favorite teams and stuff like
exactly.
that.
Like for example, I a lot of people in Colorado support the Raiders, which I don't understand.
I know.
Or the Golden Knights, which I also don't understand.
Yeah, so you went to a hockey's game, right?
A hockey.
A hockey game.
Hockey. That was just an impressive screw up on your part.
Well, in all fairness, I don't watch sports very often.
I like watching sports. I think it's a fun pastime.
I'm a nerd and an introvert. I like to play it every now and then, but in terms of watching it on TV or whatever, I don't really care for it.
I like watching games, and I like talking about them even more. But anyway, for context, I never really watched sports consistently growing up. That was one of the bigger things that I really wish I got to do. But I every now and then I would get to see the Denver Broncos. I would get to see the Colorado Mammoth, or I would get to see the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs are my absolute favorite sports team out there, just because of how awesome everything is. Hockey is a very fast-paced sport, so when you're watching it, even if you're watching it live, it can be very, very difficult to keep track of. But the coolest part about it is once you get your eye on the puck, you realize just how, I guess, reactive people are to the, in that space. So you have to think about just
it's kind of funny because it's like what's a good like a tennis match. It's just like everyone's on the puck or the ball, and so you just see their faces going like from left to right to left to right to left to right.
Exactly. Whereas hockey is more along the lines of it's like ray tracing. It's just like I'm positioning my hand in a ball and just like moving it around Gygas's face at the moment, because that's largely what it is. You keep your eye on that, and that's the only way you can really watch plays, unless you're watching a specific person. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, my favorite hockey player is Tyson Jost. He has been my favorite since I saw him in the 21-22 season for the Stanley Cup, and stuff like that. He's now playing for the Sabres at the moment, and I'm very, very excited because the Colorado Avalanche is playing the Sabres on Sabres is playing against the Sabres on December 13th, and Tyson Jost Tyson Jost is on that opposite team now, so I'm very, very excited to see how people like McKinnon, Makar, pros, and I can never pronounce his name, so my family calls him Choo-Choos. And so I'm excited to see how they react to Jost being on a different team and things like that too. And I knew so well that I was going to end up talking about hockey today because it was a huge part of my vacation. I kind
of want to talk about something too that I don't think I actually told you about.
Oh yeah?
I went to a hockey's game as well when I was little. I think that's just the way I speak.
No.
Just ignore me. I went to a hockey game.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Thank you.
It's just the way I speak, okay?
That's not even a way you speak. You're just adding a syllable that doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't even occur in my head. It's just how I talk.
Like, what I want to know what your brain process. Like, I know
you know me. I've recorded with you before. My brain just fills in stuff.
It's just like, here's a space that doesn't need to be there. Brain go ooh woo and add freaking add a syllable that doesn't need to be there. I'm sorry, but I think a tagline for this channel needs to be "Guy just went to a hockey's game," because that just sounds so stupid.
No. Anyway, I'm gonna say this because I believe I even talked about this in one of our previous podcasts. I'm from Texas, and I went to they're no longer around, but I believe it was the hockey team was called the Houston Rockets, I believe. I think that's what they were called, the Houston Rockets. And I went to their very last game that
there
they
you
went
go.
to, or at least their last season. So yeah, I was little whenever that happened, so I don't really remember players or whatever, but it was a really big thing. Like, a lot of people were getting excited about it, and it was a very, like, it was a huge stadium too. But that's my 2 cents.
That's your 2 cents on hockey. But yeah, so the reason why hockey was such a big part of my the funny thing is I'm saying this wearing a Colorado Avalanche hat. The reason why it was such a big deal was when I got up there, my mom's boyfriend came to the apartment, and we started watching the Avs game, and then as soon as we finished up that, we started watching the Nuggets game, and then we all went to bed, and I woke up the next day, and this was the day where I had the apartment all to myself, and I decided to celebrate by having an apartment to myself by watching Dragon Ball the entire day, specifically Dragon Ball Z. I clocked in 18 episodes.
Wow. Yeah, you had a very eventful break, and mine was very boring.
But yeah, no, like, seriously, this vacation was something different every day, and it was really, really cool. So we got to go to the reason why I say this is because we had already planned to go to Loveland, to the Blue Arena, to watch the Colorado Eagles play, because the Colorado Eagles are think of them as like minor league hockey for those of you that don't know. It's very much like the professional version of varsity versus JV. So they're based in the Blue Arena in Loveland, Colorado, and we went there, and that was our whole, that was our big event we were going to do after Thanksgiving. Like, that's all that was going to be a thing. So but fast forward to Tuesday night, when my mom's boyfriend and my mom get home, and we find a huge ticket deal for the Avalanche game on Wednesday. And that same night, my sister was gonna be joining us in the apartment as well. So we decided that this was very, very spur of the moment. Like, we had a very, very good price for these, so we got to go to the Colorado Avalanche game, and it was really, really awesome. And yeah, so that's why why hockey is such a big thing, not only for me now, but that's why it's always been, because I've always wanted to go to I've always wanted to just go to a pro sports game, but I never got to do it, and I was at the point where I didn't care what it was. Like, I could either be football, it could be soccer, it could be lacrosse, it could be rugby, for crying out loud, because Colorado does have a rugby team, and stuff like that. So I was at the point where I just didn't care what it was. I just really wanted to go because I hadn't experienced this, even though I had been to bigger games and stuff like that. I still just wanted to experience what this was going to be like. And oh boy, was it one of the best experiences of my life. I have never had that much fun watching anything in my entire life. I was so astounded at just the camaraderie for the crowd. It was my high school was kind of really stupid with crowd management, to the point where you weren't allowed to boo the other team.
Yeah.
That's a key thing for sports.
Yeah.
So the fact that we couldn't do that, it was like a shocker to me when I was at the pro game, and during the starting lineup announcement and everything, I actually heard people booing in the crowd. As a consensus, the crowd was booing at them. So it was just it was so surreal to me, because it was just oh, I get to be unhinged. Oh my.
Disclaimer: don't see Heron when he's unhinged. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, so I was very, very into the game, and I was watching everything that happened, like so much to the point where I didn't want to sit down. I wanted to stand and watch the game. And just to be fair, we had very, very good seats. We were Blue Arena, Ball Arena. Has 3 levels to their seating. You have your base level, which if you get to the wall, you have almost like a perfect view of the ice and everything. Then you have the second layer, which can hold roughly around, because I don't know how much the arena can actually hold, but we had over 18,000 people in that crowd, and we were in the nosebleed section. For lack of a better term, because we were at the very, very top row of seats we could be, and we were right against the wall. So we had a actual like perfect view of the ice because we were so far away. But the fact that we were so far away, and because of how hockey is, it allowed us to enjoy the sport that much more.
Yeah.
So it was very, very, very fun. And because of like having that big of like just an effect on me, the Eagles game kind of suffered in my eye a little bit. But it was still very, very fun to watch, and it was a lot more fun being on like the because the Blue Arena is essentially the Ball Arena, just delete the exterior levels. So we had the exact same seats we had essentially for the Avs game, but we but just 2 levels down. So we had like prime seats for the hockey match, which was so freaking cool. So I got a better view of that, and I got to just see how like the camaraderie for sports for just hockey in general. And hockey is slowly becoming my favorite sport to watch just because of that. For a while it was basketball, just because of how fast paced everything was. There was a segment there where it was soccer because with the FIBA World Cup happening, it was like all I was seeing at work and stuff like that. And then it's all like anybody was talking about. So it's just like, hey, this is cool. I like it. No one else likes it, so it's mine.
Yeah.
I always preferred watching baseball to playing baseball. Baseball is a lot of fun, and I would definitely like nowadays have a lot of fun playing it. But when I was growing up, I didn't really care about it. I would much rather watch a sports game than play a sports game when I was younger.
I very much prefer watching baseball as well.
Don't get me wrong, baseball is a lot of fun, and I like playing it now.
Well, it's more so like not like on TV. I would much rather go to an actual game and watch it in person than over a screen.
So I mean, honestly, I feel like everybody's in the same boat with you there, which is why tickets are so expensive, no matter what game you go see, or what sport you go and watch. But there are some really, really cool elements to being able to watching like the live feed of stuff like that, because you get to see like wicked cool like slow-mo shots of things that you might have missed during the live game. You don't have commentators.
You don't have to deal with people.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. You don't. If you want to just sit and like watch a game by yourself, you can absolutely do that, no interruptions. So it's really, really cool that's a thing. So yeah, here's the madness of madness. I'm a Colorado Avs fan, Colorado Avalanche fan. I am a Colorado Rockies fan. I am a Colorado Rapids fan. I am a Colorado Mammoth fan. I am a Denver Nuggets fan. I am a Denver Broncos fan. I like Colorado, dang it. Born and raised here, man. Born and raised.
Yep. Me not so much, but I mean, you already know that.
So yeah, here's the I guess the contrast between me and Geiges's personality showing again. I am very much like outspoken. I can have a conversation with anyone about anything, and then there's you, who is very much my shadow.
I wouldn't say timid, but like just me being the introvert, I don't really like to talk very much, and that's a part of the reason why we kind of try to start this podcast, is for me to talk more.
Exactly. I mean, you there were like a couple instances in high school where I was just like kind of meandering around the crowd talking to different people because I knew so many people, and you were just kind of there.
Yeah. I mean, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'll just just sit in a corner and just mind my own business. I don't care.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm absolutely not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like, it's just kind of funny, like putting that image into it.
I mean, take my room for example. It's the ultimate hermit's hideaway.
This is absolutely true. Gaius' setup is underneath his bed.
Yeah, I have a loft bed, so like I have a full size bed on the top and a full like gaming streaming setup on my bottom. So, but that's literally the best I can explain it though. Like,
yeah, no, that's exactly what this is. You have a hermit den underneath your bed.
Yep.
Whereas
I could live weeks in this room, and I have.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not necessarily like for this kind of like profession and industry, that's not exactly a bad thing.
No, it's not. I just got to get better with the whole streaming on my own, and it's not that I don't want to. It's more so like trying to find that one game that I know people are going to enjoy, but that also I'm going to really enjoy.
I'm going to say this right now. I lucked out with Mario 64 taking off as well as it did.
Yeah. So I don't know if I really talked about this before, but come January, I'm going to be starting to play Rust. It's something that I've been wanting to play for a very long time. It's going to be solo. I don't really have anybody to play with, but I think it could be fun, like really fun to just stream for a very long period of time and just condense it down and make like a really good video. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to play Rust, so I'm taking the months of November and December to really play and get used to the game before I decide to record it, because I want to make sure like I'm not going to be struggling and stuff. Like, I know Rust is hard, like things happen all the time. You could go from a really good position and lose everything. Like I know that, and it's all that part of like keep going even though like you may be at your lowest,
i.e. played up.
Yes.
So full I guess insight for played up as well, because this is a thing, because I guess we're up to the updates coming on Embers Quarter, the channel segment of the podcast.
Yeah.
My brain just deleted everything I was going to say.
Your brain just turned off there.
I actually don't remember.
We were talking about
say.
played up.
Thank you.
That is surprising that you just clicked that out of your head.
Yeah. It's when I talk about things and when I tell stories, sometimes I get so intertwined with the details of it that I actually forget what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But okay. Played Up. Played Up is a thing, and it's a thing that we've been doing on our channel. It's the last remaining original series on the channel. And I guess we should go into detail about what exactly the cutoff point of that is. Oh, by the way, I added descriptions to all of our playlists, so if you want a better idea for what everything is going to be before you click on it, that's what it is. So there's that thing.
And just a little bit more context before like you get on into everything. We're not gonna be quitting just because we're not getting a lot of viewership. It's a really just a game that like me and Heron like to play for fun.
It is a lot of fun. Like
yeah, and so we don't really care like how many viewers it gets. It's just something for us to just relax and play and just talk.
Exactly, like that's the whole point of it. And because we've gotten into a rhythm with the game now where we don't actually there are some aspects where you have to focus on what you're doing, but they're not enough to derail your focus from the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. So our cutoff point for Played Up is going to be getting 5 stars with coffee and tea.
Yeah.
Just because it's what we've been trying to do since the beginning, and we've gotten so close multiple times.
Well, I feel like just 5 stars with anything at this point, because like
exactly, but
we might find a thing that's better than coffee. Like yes, we will get 5 stars with coffee and tea and stuff like that, but just making sure we keep keep it fresh and stuff, so that a way where it's just not just coffee
over and over and over and over and over again, because we do realize the repetitious thing about Played Up, which is why we do want to move on to other things in the long run, just because it is a very repetitious game.
And it's not to say like we're going to be quitting it altogether. Like there very much might be times where it's like, hey, let's just stream this again just for fun.
Exactly. So it's definitely, here's the thing about anything we record on the channel. Unless there's a finite reason to not play it again, it might come back.
Yeah. Like what we're planning with our Wildermyth series. Like that was the very first game on our channel, and we played it for a long time. We didn't even really care like how many viewers we got. It's just something fun for us to play, and even develop our voice acting skills as well. Like we had a lot of fun with these characters and the story of Ulstrix and everything like that, but it ended abruptly and completely like unplanned. But we plan to eventually bring it back, whether it be the same story or a different story in Wildermyth.
Maybe having similar characters or just completely different ones. It honestly, it depends on what we feel like doing, and it's that's what I want to urge everybody here listening to this podcast. We will listen to you for everything that you say, because we want to improve. We always want to improve. But at the end of the day, this is a creative outlet for us. So just because we don't take your idea into consideration, it doesn't mean we're ignoring you. It just means that we have different ideas for the channel, and we may use your idea eventually, or we may not. It honestly, it just depends on how we want the channel to progress. And stuff like that. For example, like we've talked about this multiple times now, eventually we're going to get to a point where we are uploading once a day for the entirety of the week, and we're going to be splitting it up so that way we have a different kind of content every week, even if it's on every day. So that way we have contrast, and we just have a better spread of content for y'all to absorb. So that way you don't get too much of one thing in the same row. So that way you always want to come back for more.
Yeah, and that's just for the time being too, because like eventually when we get bigger and stuff like that, and also once Heron gets his own setup, we're actually gonna be able to make a lot better content, like more relevant games that people are really enjoying. It's kind of limited due to us only having one setup at the moment, but also like once we get bigger, like having our own solo channels that we do our own solo stuff, and then just having Embers Corner as our
co-op channel,
co-op and versus, and then like, I mean, we've said that before, but that's eventually what we'd like to get to.
Exactly.
That brings a lot more creative freedom, because we're not limited to the entire channel being like one similar thing. Like we can having our own channels really brings more of a personal twist to things.
Exactly. So the fact that, yes, we are making Let's Play videos at the moment, and we're making a podcast at the... Honestly, just like the fact that we're making a podcast versus making like Let's Play videos, that right there is a very, very small, like teeny tiny tablespoon of the contrast in content we want to provide for you guys. Yes, playing video games is fun for y'all, and it's a fantastic part of our lives. And talking as we're doing for the podcast right now is a lot of fun as well, because we just get the info dump on the audience, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. But it's something I kind of want to say something as well. Sorry.
You're okay.
But just like gaming isn't something that we're going to be doing all the time, because something that I've seen YouTubers and streamers who've done this for a very long period of time, they get burnt out, and something that they started as a hobby ended up more of a chore. And that's something that, like, by spreading out what we do kind of prevents that in a sense.
So Embers Corner is not going to be a Let's Play specific channel. It is that may be what it is right now. However, it will grow and expand as we progress. and to the point where we eventually want to have more people as finite core members of Embers Corner that also will have their own solo channels, and Embers Corner will be the camaraderie of everyone on everything that we do.
Yeah. And yeah, that's what we want to do, because we want to ensure that we're having fun with what we do. That's the biggest thing. We don't want to be putting out content with a facade or just like a image for everyone to enjoy. We want to be ourselves when we record and not play into the algorithms and stuff like that. Like, yes, we may be getting more views or more money. That's not what we care about. We care about just having fun and doing the things that we want to do. That's why we started this. That's what we're going to be doing.
Exactly. Our whole goal for Embers Corner, just as a thing, is we want it to be authentic content for everyone to enjoy. And that means branching out eventually.
And you don't see like authenticity with a lot of people anymore, like,
because a lot of people become analytically minded, and honestly it's very like now actually getting to see like the view count on like Mario 64 and like the likeness ratio, viewer retention, viewer demographic, all that stuff, having access to all of those statistics is it's a little dangerous actually, because it almost bends our creative outlet a little bit.
It in a sense, it kind of makes your mind think, okay, I need to be focusing more into this specific thing than the other, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in terms of a direction.
Yeah, if
but
you're
in
looking
terms
for
of like just flat out just stopping everything just because one thing is doing better than the other, that's not what it should be about. It's like YouTube, whenever it was made, was a platform for anyone to just express themselves.
Exactly. And like we have a very finite example of this on the channel. My Amnesia series. I got to a point where I was not having fun playing the game anymore. And it's nothing to say like anything bad about the fact that that Amnesia is a bad game. It's not. It's a fantastic game, and I love it. It was a lot of fun to play. Don't get me wrong, but because it felt like something I had to do, I wasn't having fun with it. It wasn't something like, the whole reason we did Amnesia as a series was because we wanted a spooky game for October. That was our whole direction and whole ideology behind starting that series. So when it got to the point where Halloween had come and gone, it didn't make sense to have that on the channel.
Yeah.
So it was, or at least uploading on that content. So during October, however, it makes sense to do something like that. And my brain would just be like, hey, it's spooky time. Spooky games are fun. Let's play spooky games. So that's kind of where my brain went with it. And it just wasn't fun to make anymore. So that's why I put in the description of the playlist and everything, stating, hey, this series will make a return. Because it will. I do plan on finishing that game. And I do plan on playing the other Amnesia games, just like we plan on playing other Mario games. We plan on playing other Zelda games. We plan on playing all that to say, that's the major creative outlet for us. Is to summarize this entire subject, we're gonna make what makes us happy, because in turn, it will be authentic content for y'all to enjoy.
Exactly.
So that all to say, I should probably state this, because it's a topic that we haven't talked about in a very, very long time. Going back to Tears of the Kingdom, because we actually never finished that. I'm just trying to like clean up all of the topics we've stated in this podcast so far. I started playing it again. I'm playing it like Breath of the Wild now, to the point where I'm kind of just exploring and playing the game at my own pace, which is so much fun, because that's the whole point of how you're supposed to play the game, and things like that. So it's very, very fun. I'm still to the point now where I haven't discovered what the bubble gems are used for. I haven't, though I did find out how to access Hyrule Castle. And this is all before I've taken on any of the temples or anything like that, just because, like, hey, I've experienced 2 of the temples already. Let's just experience what the world has to do for a little bit before I go and do those again. So I got some extra stamina wheels and some of the saturated stamina wheels, so the yellow ones, and then I just kind of booked it to I just kind of booked it to Hyrule Castle because I read in Zelda's diary that, hey, there's a tunic somewhere in the throne room and in the sanctum. So I was just like, ooh, it's a thing that I want, so I'm gonna go get that. So that's exactly what I did. I beelined for it, and now I get to play the entire game with the new champion's tunic.
Yeah,
which is really, really cool. So the fact that I get to do that now is just awesome in my eyes, at least. And so that's where I'm at with Tears of the Kingdom. I will be playing it on my own until I beat it, because I'm finally at a point now with the game where I can actually sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually having so much fun playing it the other day, because before I left on my trip, I was packing while I was doing laundry, and so, like, my time waster, so to speak, was playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I couldn't stop. It was the first.
Ignore that.
It was the first time since playing Breath of the Wild initially that I could just sit back and play a game.
Yeah.
And that's why I was having so much fun with it.
I told you it's great.
I never said it was bad. I said it was a media burnout, and I'm finally out of media burnout. Yay! So that's that topic. The second topic, hockey is great. Go Avalanche. Anyway.
Yeah, there was one last thing I wanted to talk about before we end off, because we're about that time. There might be another game that I might play. It's a bit iffy. I have the game Lethal Company.
I have interjection.
Yeah. Yes.
This is a thing that I discovered. Don't say that we're going to be ending, because it automatically makes people start thinking about what they're going to do next. So the fact that you stated that the podcast is about to end, now people are just like, oh, what am I going to do now?
That's fair.
So Gygus was lying. We actually have like 15 other stories we're going to be talking about. And go.
As I was saying, I have Lethal Company. I've saw that it's been really popular recently, and I was like, you know what? I want to try. I want to see what all the hype is about and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be trying it. The only thing that would be kind of like sucky about it is the fact that I would be playing by myself, and like just for the time being, like I have nobody else to really play with, and I would be playing with random people, which isn't bad, but I would have to get their permission with recording them and stuff like that, and there's a whole like legal thing, and it's the whole like I don't know if I can actually do it without playing with other people that I know and are willing to be recorded and stuff like that. So it's more of an awkward thing, but we'll see what happens.
Yay! And that's, I mean, experimentation is a large portion of like creativity and stuff like that. So I wish you luck in your endeavors, good sir. As I stated in the subscriber special, my next Let's Play will be The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. We're going to start getting some Zelda games on the channel, which will be a lot of fun because me and Gygus are major Zelda fans.
Yes.
And literally, I'm looking to the back right now, and there is a Master Sword just there calling my name.
But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. If you guys really enjoy, please let us know. If there's any
comment, listen, share, madness, all the good stuff. Yay.
Yeah, if there's anything that you want to know from us, let us know. Like, we are always willing to hear what you guys want to know about us. Like, we're always willing for that. We even had a podcast where we had someone in the chat just talking to us, and it really like was nice to interact and just talk and stuff like that. Just being able to say things that you guys might have been interested in.
Exactly. Brain work. Excuse me. If you want us to talk about anything in specific, we never look at a comment not wanting to try to use it in some way. It's we always take every comment into consideration with what we have right now, just so that way we can cater to our audience, because we want we're making the content that we want to make doesn't mean that we're not strapped for ideas every now and then.
Yeah. And my brain also went blank.
So yeah, this was our attempt at doing an unscripted podcast, and I think it actually worked really well.
Yeah, I think it went well. Like we had like maybe 3 different topics, like in totally different genres, but
hey, I mean,
it turned out really good.
That's great, because that's how it should be. This podcast is kind of just, as I said before, it's info dumping. So, it's honestly just a discussion about random things that we talk about. So as I said, if you want us to talk about anything specific, or you want us to go into further detail about things, within reason, we'll take that into consideration, and we might be able to bring it up on the next podcast, or maybe we'll discuss it in a video.
Yeah, so thank you all for watching. If you're watching this from Twitch, you can find this every Saturday, noon Mountain Standard Time, on YouTube at Embers Corner. If you're watching this on YouTube, which you probably are,
we have a Twitch channel. Please.
It's the same name, Embers Corner.
It's exactly it. Same logo. The only issue is there's a desaturated banner for some reason.
Yeah, and then also our Discord. We're getting it. I've given admin privileges to Heron to get that all set up.
This is my fault. Discord will be up and running at some point. I'm sorry.
But that'll do it for us today. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Sorry, it was a little bit of a tangent, but hey, we're trying things out.
This entire episode was tangent,
but yeah, so have a good day, guys. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Have a great day. Deuces.
Bye.